10 Best African Countries to Live in. In 2018, over 10 million people migrated to G20 countries. These are 20 of the world's most developed countries. It is, however, not always easy to get into those countries as immigration gets stricter laws. Africa presents great places for you to live. Immigration laws are less restrictive, and some of the countries in the continent have happier and safer populations, according to a United Nations Human Development Report. The report is a summary comprised by the United Nations to express global satisfaction with life, as well as depict an overview of what it's like to be alive on Earth in this day and age. It is a reputable resource for determining which countries have the happiest, healthiest, and most stable populations compared to everywhere else in the world. While countries on the list are mostly Western and Asian, there are some African countries on the list which rank relatively high. In today's video, we'll bring you the top best African countries to live in. This video is brought to you by After School Africa. If you're new here, you're welcome. Consider subscribing to continue exploring opportunities. 10. Morocco. Morocco, officially the Kingdom of Morocco, is the most western of the North African countries. The country's name translates to the Western Kingdom. The country is ranked as the 10th best African country to live in, with a Human Development Index score of 0.66. The country, which shares close proximity to Europe, has capitalized on this to shape its economy and infrastructure like that of its northern neighbors. Morocco has some of Africa's best infrastructure and healthcare services. Workers in the country are also some of the highest paid in Africa. 9. Egypt. The land of the pharaohs comes in at number 9 on the list. Egypt is Africa's 9th best country to live in, with Human Development Index score of 0.696. The country, with its population of over 100 million, is Africa's third most populous after Ethiopia and Nigeria. Over the past few decades, Egypt has realized major improvements in human development, including expanding access to education, reducing the burden of communicable diseases, and increasing life expectancy. Today, Egypt is one of the largest economies in the Arab world and home to one of the fastest growing middle classes in the Middle East and North Africa region. 8. South Africa. Africa's second largest economy and one of its most diverse, South Africa is one country many would argue is the best place to live in Africa. The country comes in the 8th spot with a Human Development Index of 0.699. The country is home to the best universities in Africa, and its cities are some of the most organized. South Africa, however, suffers from security challenges and locals are sometimes hostile to immigrants. 7. Gabon. A country rarely heard about, the small Central African nation of Gabon is home to about 2 million people but has one of the highest urbanization rates in the world. The country is ranked as the 7th best place to live in Africa with an HDI of 0.702. Gabon is an upper middle income country, the 5th largest oil producer in Africa. It has had strong economic growth over the past decade, driven by its production of oil and manganese. The oil sector has accounted for 80% of exports, 45% of GDP, and 60% of fiscal revenue on average over the past 5 years. 6. Libya. Libya, which has battled with civil war since 2011, is Africa's 6th best country to live in. Surprised? Don't be. The war-torn country has an impressive HDI of 0.70, much higher than peaceful countries like South Africa and Egypt. Libya has one of the highest life expectancies in Africa at 72.9 years. Workers in the country are also among the highest paid in Africa with an average monthly pay of $1,700. 5. Botswana. With a population of just over 2 million people and a landmass that is 70% desert, Africa's 5th best country to live in is Botswana. Despite the stigma of being in Third World Africa, Botswana is a well-off country thanks to the wealth of diamonds found in there and its uninterrupted democracy. It is a politically stable country and most of the population enjoys a high standard of living. Botswana has maintained one of the world's highest economic growth rates since 1966. The first 10 years of education is also free in the country. The country has an HDI of 0.71. 4. Tunisia. Located at the northernmost part of Africa, Tunisia is Africa's 4th best country to live in. The country has an HDI of 0.73. Renowned for its historic cities, monuments, pristine beaches, and laid-back lifestyle, Tunisia is one of the most liberal countries in the Arab world. The country has been in a state of emergency since the 2011 revolution. If you are a lover of snow, Tunisia is one of the few places in Africa where it actually snows. 3. Algeria. Africa's largest country, Algeria, is its third best country to live in. The oil-rich North African country has an HDI of 0.75. The country, which has the 10th largest gas reserves in the world, has a universal health care system that is free to all citizens. The country cut unemployment from the 20% in the past 2 decades down to around 11.7%. Algeria currently has the highest life expectancy of all African countries at 76.3 years. 2. Mauritius. The top 2 best countries in Africa to live in are both island nations, and Mauritius takes the second spot. The island of Mauritius, home to just 1.2 million people, has one of the happiest and healthiest populations in Africa. Its HDI is an impressive 0.79, and its citizens are recognized as the happiest in Africa. The country has some of the best healthcare systems in Africa, which is free to all citizens. Education is also free in the country, and public transport is free to students and elderly people. The country also enjoys low taxes, and democratic tenets like free speech are highly regarded in the country. 1. Seychelles. The best country in Africa to live in is Seychelles. Home to just 98,000 people scattered on 155 islands, Seychelles has an HDI of 0.97. Seychelles is ranked 62 in HDI rankings and has a life expectancy of 73.7 years. The country's economic growth is mainly driven by tourism, and the GDP has increased nearly 7-fold since 1976. The country is Africa's most developed and offers both free healthcare and education to its citizens. So, if you're looking to relocate outside the traditional relocations, these African countries may just offer what you seek with less hassle. What are your thoughts? Let's hear them in the comment box below. If you're yet to subscribe to the After School Africa channel, now is a good time to hit the subscribe button. Until next time, your success matters.